April the 9th. Those who love your instruction have great peace and do not stumble. Psalms 119, verse 165. Dear Lord, please bless me and my loved ones with your perfect peace this day. All will be well, for you are with me. Good morning. This is Sharon from the House of Prayer. Stay strong because things will turn around for your good. Dear believer, have you ever had times when you felt the world was against you? Did you come close to understanding what Jesus meant when he told his disciples in John 16:33, in his word, you will have tribulations? Then there is hope for you. Remember that in the next statement he says, be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. The Bible gives us comfort for every such time when we feel like all the doors are closed and there seem to not be a way out. We can trust that God's Word has wisdom for every aspect of our lives and to help us come out victorious. An example of this is three friends in the Bible. We can get encouragement from this. Yes, I'm talking about the story of the three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and definitely the fourth man in the fire. The full story is found in Daniel chapter 3, verses 14 through 28. Prior to this story in question, we see how the three Hebrews, along with their friend Daniel, had refused to defile themselves with the king's meal, which was obviously served to idols. This is just like some of us, dear believers, who have chosen to live the right kind of life. In spite of the odds or how different it looks, we have chosen to give our lives to doing the will of God. And it is expected that bad things shouldn't happen to good guys. But is that truly so? What if bad things indeed happened? How should the Christian react? Does he even have a say here? The three Hebrews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who were friends in a strange land of Babylon, but chose to uphold the dignity of the Lord and their God. We must note that it is easy and at this point for them to give up. After all, they were in another land. Who would see them? They were just mere slaves. Again, we have a moral here. In our commitment restricted to when things are okay, what would we do if we found ourselves in a situation where no one who was really of our faith are around us to inspire us? What would we do? Who do we turn to? Let us continue this story that tells us a lot about how to handle the situation when they arise. They resolved not to bow to the graven idol of the Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar. They must have read the Torah well in Exodus 20, how they are not to worship any other god, but the only true God. This decision has consequences for them, as it does for every child of God who has chosen at one point or the other to stand for God. You keep wondering, will their situation ever change? Is God listening in the middle of all of these? It is at this point that we must stop and ask ourselves, what exactly is our reaction when we come face to face with opposition? That opposition may be a lack of finances, or even ill health, a broken home, something that just makes us think twice about the safety that God promised. What would this consequence be? The three Hebrews must have been mocked by others when they made their choice. They must have been laughed at. They must have been called foolish by other folk around, and obviously to know by their peers. But the good thing is that they didn't listen. The child of God must learn to know that in times of trouble and tribulations, when a situation seems like there will be no turnaround, it is then that he should hold on the more, because there will be friends who come around, or better still, call them enemies, who come around to just tell you how miserable you are and how you should turn your steps and go the other way of this world. Just like Job's wife did when she told him to curse God. The believer must know that when there are trying times, different people will show up with different ideas and opinions, but he must choose wisely who to listen to. This is what the three Hebrews did. They didn't listen to the naysayers. They stood by their word. What was going on, and to be their consequences to be indifferent. For defying the great king's order, they had to be burnt to ashes. They had to be thrown into a blazing, fiery furnace. That's the end for them, right? Just like it would look like it would be for us in the end. In that situation. You may even decide that the end is where you are right now, that you would never come out of that problem. But I have come to tell you otherwise. God's word comes to tell us otherwise. What happened to the three Hebrew friends? Would their stance for what is right yield them punishment for choosing to know God? It would seem so. But these men didn't budge. So alas, they were thrown into the burning fiery furnace. But before that, note that they told the king that they would not bow down. Whether they were thrown into the fire or not should not matter to them. They simply would not bow down. That is some confidence, and we surely need at one point or the other. We need to have that never say die attitude when we feel like the doors are about to shut on us. We need to know that we can have the final say. We can defeat the devil, and we can come out victorious. Yes, we can. We can defeat the devil, and we can come out victorious. Yes, we can. If our Jesus did it, then we surely can. You can look back and say we stayed through it. We did it. So back to the story. It would appear that this is their end. It would appear that the only thing left for them would be ashes. That would become history, consumed by the situation, but not quite yet. The one they stood for doesn't sleep nor slumber. He saw all that was transpired, and it is time for action to begin. Nebuchadnezzar noticed someone else in the furnace, the one who was called the fourth man in the fire. The one whom they defended came to defend them, the Son of God. How Jesus just knows how to show up at such times when it seems that all hope is lost. How he likes to rewrite the story of a man or woman who has been written off by the world, enemies, and even by friends. So Nebuchadnezzar saw the Son of God. They became four in the fire, or smoke couldn't do them any harm. They were shielded, they were protected by him, the one who sees the end from the beginning. And you can guess already, they weren't hurt, and it definitely ended in victory. Dear believers, be encouraged that no matter how bad the situation is right now, the fourth man in the fire is said to show up, and he will. You will come out unscathed just like they did. This is not a fiction. If you believe the Bible, then you must believe that this happened indeed. The fourth man in the fire showed up. He couldn't leave those three alone. This is still his character today. He will not leave you on your own. He sees and knows everything. Be of good cheer, child of God. Trust the fourth man in the fire. No matter what you're going through, don't look back. It will surely end in victory. The very interesting part you may care to know is that those who entered the fire of the furnace were not killed by the intensity of the flame, but the ones who opened the furnace were. Those who put in the flame were perished. This is what God alone can do. The fourth man in the fire, this means for everyone who was clamoring for your downfall, for you to be assured that you would see the end of them and not the other way round. And the icing on the cake, King Nebuchadnezzar declared that the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is who should be served throughout the land. That's amazing, right? When the fourth man in the fire showed up, the story changed, and wonderfully so. This is how it will be for you. You will not languish in that situation. It will not end you at all. You just need to keep at it. You just need to keep trusting. Keep believing. You have an example in the Bible already that you can overcome just like the three Hebrews did. There is never a time good enough. There is never a time good enough to give up. Never. That turnaround you wanted to see is right here. Don't look back. This is a call to you, dear believers. Don't give up. You know the name of the Lord will be glorified through you, and it will. So keep on keeping on, because the end is not yet. God bless you.